I was only 0.9 pounds up after all the stuff I ate. Yet, I still lost inches. I lost a quarter of an inch on my waist and my hips.
Before the trip, I was actually quite concerned about going back to old habits, but now I feel quite encouraged that I can go out, I can be in these situations and be comfortable around food, make good choices and not sabotage myself.
I used to hear stories like these wishing I could have what they have, eat whatever I want on vacation and still lose weight. But try as I might, I could never succeed. Until I discovered the secret to planning for the unexpected. See, there was a time during the honeymoon phase of my weight loss when I thought I could outsmart anything. I was a few months into losing weight, calorie counting, and meal planning. Everything worked well and I was making progress. Inevitably, a work event or birthday party would come up that forced me to face foods out of my control. Refusing to be phased, I pre-prepped ahead of time. If we were going out to a specific restaurant, then I Googled the menu ahead of time to plan what to order. Or if I didn't know where we were eating at, I'd set aside 600 to 800 calories worth of buffer ahead of time to leave room for surprise foods. While I tried to order as healthily as I can, I knew even if I slipped and had beer or pizza, as long as I was eating in a calorie deficit, I could eat whatever I want and still lose weight. There was no event I couldn't pre-plan for and overcome. I treated these eating out challenges like a video game, beating boss after boss. But little did I know, I had been just fighting minions this whole time. The real challenge didn't come until that fateful Thanksgiving week. US Thanksgiving. A time of celebrating our blessings, bonding with family, and maybe a bit of eating and drinking here and there too. What could possibly be so difficult? Here's what I thought would happen. I'd get clear on who would cook what foods ahead of time and pre-plan what to eat. And here's what actually happened. Round 1, US Thanksgiving. Other than the turkey, nothing else went according to expectations. There were 3 times as many junk, desserts, and alcohol as I expected. The auntie who promised she'd prepare sweet potatoes ended up running out of time and buying pie instead. There was so much going on, so much food around. Try some of this. Oh, have another helping. Laughter, good smells, pies, friends, family, cooking, wine. In the end, only 10% of what I planned for ended up being what I actually ate. Unlike the work and birthday events from before, this wasn't just a one and done meal. This was a whole day of eating. Plus, it wasn't just for one day. The next day, we still had leftovers. After racking my brain trying to remember what I ate the next day, I gave up and just estimated I was probably 600 calories over my target. Afraid of seeing what damage I did, I tried to undo the damage by intensely exercising until I collapsed. But it did no good. I couldn't outrun my fork and my weight went up regardless. No!
Game over.
Refusing to admit defeat, I told myself this will never happen again. Christmas was coming and I had to come up with a better, foolproof plan before then. This time, I pulled out the heavy guns. I'd fast all day, so I have plenty of calories available for dinner. I'll stick to whole foods only like lean protein and veggies. And instead of dessert, I'll opt for fruit as much as I can. Finally, I listened to my body and stopped eating when full. Round 2, Christmas. But on Christmas Eve, when dinner rolled around, I was so hungry from fasting all day that, like a T-Rex, I lost all semblance of control when food came into view. Good news is, I ate protein, veggies, and fruits like I planned. Bad news, I ate all the bread, pies, cookies, way too much. Filling up on healthy stuff first didn't seem to matter. It was like my human brain shut off as my reptile brain took over, as I was being held hostage by laughter, good smells, pies, friends, family, cooking, wine. Oh god, not again. As I accepted yet another cookie I didn't need, I remember thinking, how many calories am I over by now? Oh, screw it. I already ruined it for tonight anyway. Might as well just start over tomorrow. Oh, and as for listen to my body, yeah, that went out the window fast. I couldn't stop eating when full since I ate so fast I couldn't even notice my satiety signals. Note, it can take 20 minutes for signals to reach your brain, so if you're eating really fast, you may not feel full until you've already overstuffed yourself, as I did then. The next day, I felt physically bloated and gained 3 whole pounds. Knowing I couldn't possibly make this up at this point, especially not with so many more days of celebrations left. Screw it, I thought. The entire month is shot. I'll just start over next year instead. Now, I didn't know back then, but most of that weight gain was actually water, glycogen, and food weight, not fat. You can gain and lose water, glycogen, and food weight overnight, but fat is much slower to lose. Had I gotten back on the wagon to eat normally again the next day, I would have seen those 3 pounds fall off quickly. But because I didn't, this happened instead. By the time the holidays were over, those 3 pounds turned into 6, and 6 turned into 10. Next thing I knew, I was halfway back up to where I started 6 months ago. A few weeks after going back to work, I overheard a coworker complaining about how the unexpectedly rainy weather had ruined his perfectly planned vacation. At first, I couldn't relate, because when I plan for an outing, even if it's supposed to have only a 20% chance of rain, I make contingency plans anyway by making sure I have some indoor activities to do instead. But then it occurred to me that my holidays too were ruined by the same thing. We had both made the same mistake, not planning for failure. You see, eating for weight loss is not just about planning how to make things go right, but also planning how to respond when they go wrong. You can lose weight eating whatever you want as long as you eat in a calorie deficit, but that only works in practice if you respond for life's surprises along the way. And after losing weight, keeping it off for 8 years, and teaching hundreds of people to do the same, I've learned there are 3 types of surprises that derail us the most. Surprise number 1, unexpected foods showing up. The secret is that it's not the foods themselves that derail us, but how we perceive them that do. I used to think of food as good or bad, but that didn't serve me. So I got rid of those labels and instead imagined 2 tanks, food for fuel and food for pleasure. Some foods are for fuel, some for pleasure, and some can fill up both tanks. Food for fuel are those I eat to help me feel satiated, like protein, healthy fats, and veggies. And eating slowly so hunger signals have time to reach my brain will let me know when I have sufficiently fueled my body up. Whereas food for pleasure are those I eat for joy. And eating slowly enhances the joy, which allows me to fill up my pleasure tank with fewer calories. The common thread here is to slow down eating so I can fill up both tanks with fewer calories. Slowing down also allowed me to ask in between bites, am I eating this for fuel or pleasure? If pleasure, does it still spark joy? This pause gave me the time to get out of my lizard brain long enough to answer objectively. When both tanks are full, I know I'm done. But I get it, slowing down is hard. So instead of just relying on willpower, I used tactical strategies to help me too. For instance, I took sips of water and put down my eating utensils in between every 1 to 2 bites. For each bite of something decadent, I would also alternate it with a bite of something satiating and healthy. I also made it a game for myself to see who at the dinner can finish their plate the slowest. This made slow eating actually kind of fun. And when I still wanted to have a bit of everything anyway, I neither held back nor overindulged. Let's say there are 4 different pies and I want to have a little bit of each. Instead of giving myself a slice of each, I give myself 1/4 slice of each so that they would add up to 1 serving of pie as a whole. Variety and moderation, the best of both worlds. Finally, after finishing eating, I'd put my napkin on my plate so I wouldn't be tempted to add more food to it. Then I'd chew sugarless gum or drink some minty tea so I wouldn't feel compelled to put more food in my mouth simply out of habit. Slowing down also helped me deal with other people offering food, which leads me to surprise number 2. Food pushers. Delightfully, slowing down my eating prevented most people from offering me more food in the first place, since they could see my plate wasn't yet cleared. Even if they did offer, slowing down took me out of my lizard brain long enough that I didn't just instinctively say yes out of habit. But to prepare for extra pushy friends or relatives, I would prepare rejection scripts ahead of time so I wouldn't have to think too hard in the moment. Often and simple, no thank you, or I'm full, maybe later, does the trick. Sometimes I'd prepare to redirect the conversation with a no thanks. By the way, how did your trip to Vegas go? Because the truth is, I can always change my mind after saying no, but I can't change my mind after saying yes. So when in doubt, I've trained myself to reject the offer first and question it later. And if I still end up accepting an offer that didn't serve me, that's okay, because I'm prepared for the final and most important surprise of them all, failure itself. No, I'm not trying to be ironic. Part of planning for failure is planning for how to deal with it, not avoid it altogether. Here's the deal. You will slip up here and there. I still occasionally slip up even after maintaining my weight for 8 years. The only way to not let failure derail you is to reframe it as an opportunity to learn and practice getting back on the wagon. If I blow it on dinner, instead of beating myself up, I now think, what happened? Is it something I can prevent next time? If so, what can I do next time? If not, oh well, let bygones be bygones. And then I make my very next food choice the most important food choice of my day. Notice, I didn't say start over tomorrow or next week. I said the very next food choice. Because here's the secret to success. It's not about how often you fall off the wagon. It's about how fast you get back on after falling off. It's no longer, oh, you had another slice of cake? Game over. Might as well go to town on the rest of the food. That's like overspending your money for one day and then deciding, oh well, I already blew it. Might as well spend the rest of my budget for the entire month. So if I mess up, I don't try to overcompensate with exercise or starve myself the next day. I just try to eat normally again the next time I eat. But before you copy my strategies, I must warn you that you won't succeed if all you do is simply copy exactly what I did. Because what derails you will be different than what derails me. For instance, alcohol didn't tempt me, but it does tempt our student Erica.
I did realize that cocktails are my downfall. I do love a crafted cocktail.
Yet she figured out how to make it work through her own testing and iteration.
There was one incident, I was at a bar and I was getting ready to leave, and then I was offered a free shot of a $40 bourbon. I did wind up taking that drink. So I totally could have and should have just said no thank you and let it go. But when I got back, I got right back onto the program. So when I weighed myself, I was only 0.9 pounds up after all the stuff I ate. Yet, I still lost inches. I lost a quarter of an inch on my waist and my hips. And it's thanks to this program.
Or Latif, who took a 2-week trip while eating out almost every day.
I had a plan for the 2 weeks, but I was willing to flex on that plan depending on the situation. So if there's a food that I really wanted to try, I would try it, but just try and eat in moderation. So for example, on the breakfast buffet, I really wanted to try the croissants because these are freshly baked. So one day I did have one. It wasn't going to be too rigid, and if I did something like having a croissant, I might have a lighter lunch or move more that day or the next day. I was actually quite concerned about going back to old habits, but now I feel quite encouraged that I can go out, I can be in these situations and be comfortable around food, make good choices and not sabotage myself.
And guess what? This is not just for vacation eating, but life eating. Because life will always throw unpredictable events at us. It's been 8 years I eat whatever I want without going overboard, and I've never worried about weight gain since. Now you know how to get started, but understand that if you plan to implement these strategies for one-time event or vacation eating, you will not get it exactly right on the first try. While that's fine, there is a way to maximize your success, and that's by practicing daily without going overboard. How? 2 things. 1, if you want a tried and tested proven system that teaches you how to eat for both fuel and pleasure while losing weight, then check out the free sneak peek into my Badass Body Boss program in the comments and description below. Or if you want to DIY it, then you don't want to ignore this video where my co-coach Lucy shows you step by step how she was able to eat ice cream every day and still lose weight. In fact, after doing this for a few months, her sweets cravings even reduced. So you don't want to miss this video. And always remember, you can do it.